Matrix, this woman is the oracle. Her name is Dr. Adelaide Sanford. And I talked to her about the beginning of the school year, what's her advice to principals, what's her advice to the new chancellor of New York City public school system, how teachers should teach, what we should do to reach our children. When I say this woman is going to go down in the books as something between a mix of a Rosa Parks and a Harriet Tubman of education, when I tell you that she has inspired thousands of educators and created leaders right from her school in Brooklyn, from her students in Brooklyn, she produced principals, elected officials, scholars, lawyers, doctors, engineers, and always fought for the right of black people. That's why this show is important, because we're taking time to honor those who came before us. And if you're a teacher out there and you're teaching a teacher of color and you're teaching in New York City school system, you owe a lot to Dr. Adelaide Sanford. So we're going to roll this clip. Check this out. This is Dr. Shungo Blake, a.k.a. Dr. Blizzy, the nation's hip-hop principal, and this is a special segment of the Classroom Hip Hop 101. I am here with the legendary, world-renowned Dr. Adelaide Sanford. How are you, Dr. Sanford?
I'm well, thank you, and I'm happy to share these few precious moments with you.
I am so honored and thankful that you have given me an opportunity to sit down with you and to just talk to you about things that are important as it relates to educating black children, children of color, and children who are in the greatest need of having a platform to express their brilliance. And I want to, before we get into the questions, I just want to kind of go over some things for my audience about who you are. And
don't waste a lot of time with that.
I got to point out a couple of things. You have had a full career in K-12 education and higher ed. And, when I did my research, I understand that you were not only a teacher, but you were a guidance counselor, an assistant principal, eventually a principal. Great success in taking what is called a low-performing school and making it a school where children learned and were educated and were taught to be leaders and critical thinkers and go on to be leaders in society. I know a couple of your students who are now out there leading, and I can say that there's not a lot of educators of significance that have not been influenced by you or directly mentored by you. And I'm one of those who have been influenced and mentored by you, and so I thank you again for sitting down with us. You had such a success with this school, Public School 21, Crispus Attucks in Brooklyn. And it just earned this reputation of an outstanding school where pupil achievement soared, teacher morale was high, there was programs for the gifted and talent, brought citywide recognition. And so I want to start off this, I thought it would be very important to sit down and ask you, what would be your beginning of the year message to educators as they're preparing for the school year? We'll be back in a couple of weeks. What is your message to teachers?
All teachers?
All teachers.
That you're engaged in the most sacred occupation, profession, calling that there is. When you have the audacity to tamper with the minds of the young, to influence their sense of who they are, how they got to be who they are, what they can make out of who they are, and what the future holds in their hand that they can control and make not just a difference, but a positive difference, so that life is better for all people. But primarily, if we're going to take turns, it's time for the improvement of life for people who have been set apart as unworthy, as savage, as primitive, as disadvantaged, as culturally deprived, as at risk, as endangered species. All of those pejoratives. That we have to have some validations for these children. Repetitive, advanced thinking validations of who they are to erase all of those negative pejoratives, and they're still coming. And so I would say to teachers, all teachers, what are the validations that you have your children repeat every day that are realistic? May be different for the privileged, may be a validation of other people, or it may be an evaluation of who they are. But for children who have been oppressed, depressed, it's a validation of their uniqueness, of their strength, of their power, of their ability, of their mind, of their inheritance. And I don't hear enough about that. I have actually gone into schools where the opening signs on the door, please stop here. Don't go to the office. Don't go to the classroom, teacher. Everything is what you shouldn't do. How many of them say, welcome, we're so glad that you're here. You are important to us. We are here as teachers because of you and your children. I long to see that validation. So an atmosphere that's welcoming, validations of who they are, or an acknowledgement of who they would like to be if they have been of the oppressor. I think that's very important, and that's what I would like to ask for teachers, that they enter a welcoming, warming embrace.